Starring Kristen Stewart and Katy O'Brien, Love Lies Bleeding was one of the most anticipated movies of Sundance Film Festival, following a reclusive gym manager who comes across a drifter, I guess we'd say, a drifting bodybuilder in her pursuits to head to Las Vegas to be the world bodybuilding champion of some form. And then things kind of get snagged up on the way. There's a lot of lies.
There's a couple of lies.
There's a lot of blood.
And some people lying down.
When they were lying down, I was
They were lying down. But baby, there's a lot of love.
There is a lot of love in this movie. For sure.
Yeah. So I was obviously the most hyped for this one for reasons.
When we arrived at Sundance, she told us just drop her off. We're like, the movie's not till 3 days from now. What are you gonna do? And she was in that tent.
I was in that tent, and I was the first one in that movie.
Perfect seat. Literally, she had the perfect seat.
Yeah,
I did.
front row.
I had front row. It was just ideal next to some people that were really enthusiastic. I showed up like 3.5 hours early, and it was worth it. I got very close to them, and I did vibe with the movie
I'm going to drop my photo from the balcony where you're like leaning forward during the Q&A.
I'm just like, you're doing great, sweeties.
CO2 would come
Proud
out of
mom.
her.
Yeah, proud mom.
Let me send it back.
Yeah, because it was like really it was nice to see her finally like enthusiastic about something, because we had seen her at the Love Me.
And it was a completely opposite
It was a flip up. It was like you're either really tired, you're not enthused, or a combination of both. I think it's a combination of both for that one. But this one is really good. I wasn't huge on Saint Maud, so I was kind of like mixed on.
From the same director, Rose Glass.
Yes, Rose Glass. But I feel like this has kind of been the festival for the most part of the sophomore step ups, as we were calling them. And this is definitely no exception to that rule, in my opinion. And we all kind of had different opinions on it, but it was everything I assumed it was going to be, and I really liked it. And it was everything Zach assumed it was going to be, and he didn't like it as much. So you offer not that you
no, not quite as much.
I hated it. We found him loving and lying and bleeding.
or
lying and bleeding, but no love.
I found it to be somewhat similar to some movies that I don't enjoy as much, but are very beloved. I think the number one is a Drive. It really does have like elements of.
You hate Drive?
I don't really like
That's
Drive.
what I was shocked. I had the same reaction.
I feel like
I'm
I'm
not a Nick Refn guy generally. I only like Neon Demon, but like
his worst one.
It's Zach.
I mean, the imagery is the best in Neon Demon.
And only God forgives something happens, and I think it also happens in this movie.
A little bit.
There you go. Yeah, I think I do.
There's some moments. There's some things like that.
Yeah,
that
there's
repeat.
bursts of sudden extreme violence.
Yep.
It's got elements of like Cronenbergian body horror, which is kind of cool. But I don't know. For
not
me,
to the full extent, but
yeah, elements of it. And I think for me, what I push up against is like I found the characters to be a little bit thinly drawn.
That's fair.
And I just didn't really connect with them or really get on and sympathizing with them much, I guess.
I don't know. As a lesbian, I understand you hauling culture. No, I get it. It's like I do kind of think that these are kind of like flawed people that find each other. And I think a lot of it is maybe a little bit more sexual attraction than it is like genuine love out the gate. And then you just kind of get swept up in the emotions of everything that's happening. And then there's the like other aspect of what's going on. That kind of links into bodybuilding and what happens to people when they bodybuild. I don't know if that's a spoiler.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, so like they start doing steroids, and like that complicates things. That makes emotions weird. That does a lot of weird stuff to your body and your brain.
Yeah.
And they were like both doing them, and more so, Katie's character obviously, but that kind of messes with things.
They were both?
Yeah, the reason why she knew exactly how it felt. She explained her out. So I don't think she was doing it like a ton, but she was doing it
And
enough.
the approach that she does for the movie, directing-wise, if you've seen Saint Maud, I think you will like this movie. And I agree, I like this movie a little bit more than Saint Maud. I do need to give that one a rewatch, though, because I think both have the same approach where she does these very interesting, I don't want to call them effects heavy shots, but it's the way that she was, like you were saying with the Cronenberg thing, being able to almost capture what's inside of their mind.
Yes.
I mean, it's a gritty movie, and it is pretty down to earth, but then it will have these moments.
Is
it bad to say it's like a Coen-ish brother movie? Because Drive Away Dolls is about to come out, and it's a little bit like that. I'm not going to go full Coen.
No, I know what you're saying. Like, they've never gone this far into like horror or like really unpleasantness, and this is sort of like an intentionally unpleasant movie.
It
with,
is.
like the way that people are dressed and the way that people are carry themselves.
It starts with her cleaning out a toilet.
Yeah,
literally,
exactly. And a dirty-ass toilet, too.
Dirty-ass toilet.
Ed Harris shows up with like the craziest long hair but bald head.
He chose to.
He chose to.
Rose told him, get whatever wig you want. And he said, how about this? And she said, sure.
He showed up with extensions expecting them to cut it, and she liked it.
He looked like Joe Dirt if he became a serial killer in his old age. It was crazy. But he was also there what a fantastic presence that man.
What a G.
He's scary in the movie, and he just shows up with so much charisma on stage.
No, it was good.
You also have other characters. Jena Malone plays a character in this
fantastic.
movie. And when you see how that's connected, I think it's a very interesting story when it comes to the main character and what she's had to deal with. And then
Dave Franco has a fun part.
Franco. I like Dave Franco.
I do
too.
And him playing
the biggest asshole one could imagine. The biggest asshole with the littlest man syndrome.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it works.
It works so well for him. Yeah, it works great.
Him also, but I do think that Katy's character, cause she's giving more of the physical performance, whereas Kristen Stewart's doing a lot more of the heavy dialogue lifting and
emotional
what's
work.
going on.
Yeah.
I thought Katy was pretty good in it. I know you don't remember anything from Ant-Man Quantumania, but I had mentioned that I thought she was one of the best parts of that. She's the one when they get to the Quantumania.
Yeah, I'm in this weird space where I didn't really like her character, but I really liked her. I thought she did a really good job.
She did really good. And I get it. I don't think her character's supposed to be super likable once they hit the certain part for sure.
You're like magazine dream.
I was literally going to say
no one's seen that movie.
Literally, in my notes, literally says it's like this went where Magazine Dreams did not want to. The one thing we were saying was that Magazine Dreams didn't want to take it to that next step that it needed to take it. This movie gets there way faster than it needs to, and it keeps it. You know,
I'd argue Magazine Dreams did, but I don't know if y'all are ever going to see it.
No.
I had said this to y'all earlier that I believe that this movie is what people wanted another movie to be that also came out of Sundance. Promising Young Woman had a trailer that promised people something and it did not give it to them. You could see it everywhere. It is what people hate about that movie. They thought it was a bait and switch. This gives you what you want. And I think that's why a lot of people have come out happy with it. And I did a little bit of research. I was like, let me see who's liked this movie and let me see The Promising Young Woman. So far, it's pretty sensitive. So if you don't like... You did like... Yeah,
I love Promising Young Woman.
Yeah, but you're the enigma. You're divergent.
That's fair.
You don't
I am
count.
divergent. We also saw Promising Young Woman before there was a trailer.
That too.
So we didn't have the preconceived expectation of what
this one's coming out in March already.
Yeah.
But I think that for people who want that type of revenge thriller, which is what I think this definitely fits its spot in for the midnight category, I think you're going to get it.
I think so.
I think not everyone will vibe with the ending, but I think the ending can be explained.
I think so too. Dude, they set up for it too. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think the ending worked better for me, like thematically, than it did like visually.
Yeah, that's fair.
Literally,
that's totally
really? Thematically, for sure.
I didn't.
Visually, at a certain point, I was just like,
"Let's go!"
Yeah, some people will love it. I do think some people will love it. Like I'm
Saint Maud.
Yeah, I mean, I
right?
Attack on Titan, baby.
Maybe not that one. Is that not a spoiler?
Is it?
Her getting...
I don't know. It depends. There's so many things that happen in Attack on Titan.
Very true.
We can cut
Me
it.
cutting that.
We'll cut it.
One thing that I will say is that when it comes to the script side of it,
Yeah.
I know she was producer for this one, and I know, like you were saying, compared to Love Me, where she didn't really know what it was going to be, and it was the
seemed
first time
pretty
watching
enthused
it.
at the Q&A.
Yeah.
More than that, you're watching this movie and you're going, she's producer, isn't she?
Yeah.
Is she a writer on this? Because there are moments in this movie where we know that it came from her, and it did not come from the writing of this. This is what we were saying with Aquaman, where you can tell what came from James Wan, and now that Momoa's a writer, you're like, Momoa's really putting stuff in here.
Yeah.
She puts a lot of herself in here.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I don't think it worked for you, but I thought all of them were funny.
I loved it. I was like, let's go.
There are some reaction shots of her in this movie that are hilarious.
Honestly, I like those parts.
They're going to be all around Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things, like you hear those stories of like an actor who gets like a page worth of dialogue and they're like, I can do it in a look. There's lots of little things where like she's able to communicate like a whole emotional set with like her hesitation, her weird delivery.
In a comedic way.
I've been here for her.
Yeah.
You know?
And it is a pretty good showcase of what Kristen Stewart can do.
Yeah.
Y'all saw that bit when she had to recall a line and she imitated herself.
Yeah, I know, and that's how she remembered it. I'm like, I still don't understand how she didn't get the Twilight one immediately. What other movie would you have been in where you're asking how long someone's been 17 years old, Kristen? But anyway, I also thought I did a cool thing with the color red when she was kind of thinking back, and then it kind of the first time she's kind of talking to someone later, and it's like the glow off the Coke machine is mirroring what was happening in her head before. I thought that was like a really nice touch, a really nice touch, just to have them illuminated in the red. So cool color work this year.
Yeah. Overall, I think it's solid. I wouldn't like if you love the trailer and you like Saint Maud, it's a day one for you. I think you should still see it on its opening weekend before things get spoiled for you and stuff like that. So I still think it's worth the trip to the theater.
I think so. I'd see it again.
I think you can wait for streaming, but that's also like look.
But it's not his type of movie.
It's not a movie that I vibe with. Yeah.
Zach said it's not sexy. Are you on team sexy or not?
Do I think the movie's sexy?
Sexy.
I wouldn't describe it as sexy.
Yeah, it's a little
I
dirty.
would call it disgusting.
Not like sexy dirty, but like
the people
grimy.
to my left, they were
It is
like,
grimy, but it's like grimy in a way that like
Tarantino would like it.
authentic. It's authentic.
Yeah.
Grimy.
it's like they're lustful for each other.
Yeah,
That's
they
really
are.
what it is. Like you were
It's
saying.
not. It's
That's
more
not
like
love.
it's almost
lust.
like lust lies bleeding.
There you go.
It's animalistic. Like
It's
that's what a
animalistic.
lot of the movie
It
is.
is absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very animalistic. It's very like emotion forward in the moment. You know, do thing before you think thing.
For sure.
Yeah, I dig it.
Cool. I mean, do you think you said it's not your favorite of the fest, but it's gonna be one of your favorites?
It's definitely up there. I'm still kind of debating. I'm kind of we got three.
You got a couple more days before we do your top tens.
Yeah, we'll see if I get a top 10. As of right now.
In Violent Nature number 9.
No, we got a bunch of good stuff.
Yeah, we saw good.
We got a bunch.
We got
It'll be good.
a lot.
It'll be good.
Yeah. So I guess watch Love Lies Bleeding if
Yeah.
that sounds interesting to you.
Watch Love Lies Bleeding for the girl. Also, I just want to give a warning. There is like a scene that's kind of violent. There's a couple of scenes that are a little violent, but
Do we want to talk about, like you said, that test screenings people were like...
that's what I was touching on. There was test screenings, like someone's reading this in line that people were getting ill at the test screening.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they edited something out, but it is not that bad. Like I was ready with ginger tablets in my pocket.
It's not that easy either, but it's
It's
definitely not as
easy,
harsh as we
but
thought it was
No,
going to be.
but because it's like the moments that's the worst is so kind of over the top that it like isn't believable. So it doesn't, to me at least, elicit that thing. And then they kind of treat the violence a little bit funny.
Yeah, it's probably on par with your average R-rated horror movie.
I would say. And it's even then, it's like, I would say Talk to Me had worse moments, like the eye moment and just the bashing of the head is way worse in Talk to Me than anything this movie does, in my opinion. So like, don't be scared away from that. It's like, I would say even just as violent as Drive, maybe just one notch ahead with like visually what you might end up seeing, but like just the way the violence is enacted is probably on par with Drive.
Totally. Cool.
So yeah, I think that does it for our thoughts on Love Lies Bleeding. You guys will have to let us know what you guys think when you see it, and are you seeing it for the movie or because of the mommies?